Yeah, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us today. My name is Mo. If you don't know me, I think everyone here knows me. Really good to be with you. What we'll do today is I'm going to give you an update on the types of things that like what we've been up to in the last month and the improvements that have happened on the platform. And then I'll follow that up with a quick demo of that. And then we can have a discussion on it and just see if you have any questions. So with that, I'm gonna share a screen. I think actually, since the number of people is relatively low, should we just do a quick uh, like round the table intro for who's on the call? I'll start with Ali.
Hello everyone, this is Ali here. Most of you know me since I support you during your implementations. I'm digital transformation lead at Morta.
I'm Sally Andrew.
Me, Andrew. I'm managing director at Digital Gorilla.
Awesome. Ben.
New to Malta, but some of you have seen me before. So my name is Ben, digital transformation lead, coming from DFE. So you probably have seen or heard of me kicking around, but I'm sure you'll hear of me more in the future.
Thanks, Ben. Good to have you. Bertrand.
Hello, yeah, my name is Bertrand. I am the DFE representative on behalf of Mace Consult.
Awesome. Good to have you. Dean.
Hi all, Dean Hunt, National BIM Lead at Atkins Realis.
Good to have you, Jad.
Hey everyone, I'm Jad. I'm a digital transformation lead at Morta.
Joe.
I am with Wait Smart Space, and I've been volunteered to do the templates for us.
To have you, Cassia.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassia, working for King Group as a design manager.
To have you, Nathaniel.
Hi everybody, Nathaniel here, working for Bowman Kirkland.
Good to have you, Robin.
Hi, first time joining one of these calls. I'm one of the managers at SSE.
Awesome. Good to have you, Eduardo.
Yeah, Eduardo, I work with Robin, so also the manager on SSC and transmission.
Awesome. Good to have you, and Shane.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Shane, and I'm head of engineering at Morta.
Perfect. Good to have you. Awesome. And if I haven't introduced myself, Mo, I'm one of the co-founders of the company, and we've just had Memory join us. Memory, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Mo.
We're doing a quick intros, so if you want to introduce yourself.
That's fine. Literally put me on the spot as I walked in. That's fine. So, Memory Mambo, BIM manager for Thermanaut Limited.
Awesome. Really good to have you with us. Okay, great. I always like doing this because it's just good for people to know like who's within the community. Because like I'm seeing some of you reach out to each other and have conversations with each other. I also think it's nice to see that there's a representation from like the different tiers across the supply chain, which I think is one of the things that makes this all unique. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just give you a quick rundown of what we've done in the last month or so, and then I'll give you a quick demo of that. If you're on and you can like you're up for like us being able to see you, that would be great. Not a problem if you can't. Bear in mind towards the end, I'll see if you have any questions. So if you can keep that in mind, that would be great. Just generally speaking, as always, I'll start with updates on the key things that we've done. I'll then move into a demo of some of the features that have been added, and then we'll take on your feedback and have a discussion around it if you have any questions. So this month, we've had a few key additions. So the first is comments and add mentions. So quite a few of you have already been adding, using our comments feature, but you haven't been able to tag people in the past. You can now do so. And then when you do, you can, they can get notified by email that a comment has been mentioned. The second key thing is, especially when it comes to dashboards, many of you will have wanted things like filter views and slicers, and the ability to basically, if you have a dashboard, the ability to filter on everything that's within that dashboard in one go. And that has been added. I'll be showing you an example of that in a second. The third is, we've always had column locking, but we now allow for row locking. So for example, if you've had a specific row where certain values have been updated within a view, and you want to lock that down so people can't make a change following that. So say someone has reviewed something and they've approved it, you then don't want them to make a change to that right afterwards. And you can use row locking in order to do that. We've added a new column type, which is a JSON column type. So you can now store and edit JSON directly in a column, and there's a basic built-in code editor within that. I'm curious to see how this one plays out. I think it has some implications on like how we'd look at things like model data, object libraries, and over time, it could unlock a few possibilities. So I'd be keen, if any of you use this down the line, I'd be keen to understand how you're using it and why you're using it specifically. We've added in integrations. So generally speaking, there are new Dalux endpoints that have been added into the system. And you can see that, and I'll show you that in a second. But we've also are starting to do testing for Revizto and ACC model data syncs. If you want to explore ACC model data syncs specifically, please reach out to us and we'll set that up for you as a custom integration for the time being. But it's something that we're increasingly testing. And then the view is in the next 2 to 3 months, we'll bake it directly into the platform. When it comes to Morta AI, the main thing is that we've made some changes to the interface. There's also better action tracking now, which helps you get better results. So worth taking a look at that. The changes when it comes to the interface, and I'll show them in a second, were as a result of some of your feedback in relation to making that easier. When it comes to tables and data entry, we're continuing to make improvements there. So you can now, there have been additions when it comes to things like autofill. So let's say you have task 1, and then you want to autofill task 2, task 3, task 4. You can now do that type of thing. We've made improvements when it comes to pasting dates into date-based columns, and small improvements when I'm inserting a row in relation to sorting. There is been continuous work on reliability and security. You'll see that being a theme in the next few months anyways, and especially in the next 2 months, a lot of the focus is going to be on that. So we're going to be adding in less features. We think we've made a very good push over the last few months. The focus is mainly going to be on improving existing features and on working on making the platform more reliable and continue making it as reliable as possible and as secure as possible. The thinking really on our end, especially with the types of companies we work with, especially in the sectors we work with, reliability and security come above all else. So while there may be other systems that will rush into just developing and adding new features or having the latest AI model and so on and so forth, we think in a sector as sensitive as construction, especially with a lot of the types of projects that we work on, focusing on making sure that the platform is secure and that it's reliable is basically one of the most important things that we can be going for. And then lastly, and as an extension on this point, some of you will know we were ISO 27001 certified last year. We just went through our first surveillance, annual surveillance, and we've been recommended for recertification. So we're maintaining the ISO for the coming year. Now, in terms of what does all of this look like on the platform, so I'm just gonna go in here. I'm just going to go into a test hub. I'll just create a new hub for now. First, if we take comments, I can now add a comment. And then when I'm adding my comment, I can come and tag someone. So you see when I select add, it added Mo Shana'a as an option. If I were to invite, for instance, sorry, if I were to invite, I don't know why I've just decided to use my trackpad. If I were to invite Chad and I go back in here, I should now have Jad as an option. I can tag him, I can add the comment, and then he should get a notification by email. So this has been added. The second thing, before actually I go into slicers, the second thing that I mentioned in the additions is the JSON column. So now we can change a column type to JSON. If I do that and I expand, you can see I can add in basically a block of JSON within here. As I said, like this one specifically, if you use it, I'm really curious how you'd go about using it and what for, and maybe we can have we can have a discussion offline on that. But I suspect it will be really valuable when it comes to model data, BIM object libraries, and a few other things as well. When it comes to Morta AI, we've heard from a few of you that the screen is too small, so you wanted more flexibility in terms of how to do things. So you can now make these changes. But also if I add in a prompt, so how do I create a new table? I can now copy text, for example, and then I can paste it elsewhere if I want. So before you weren't able to do these types of things. You can maximize and like adjust effectively when it comes just to the screen settings so that you can use it and have more control over that. Then just to go back to here so that I know what I'm meant to be doing. The other addition that's worth mentioning is locking rows. So for example, here I'm going to come and say approve. And I'm going to put a checkbox column type. And I want it so that when I tick this, I'm just going to add in a value here. I'm going to add in a value here. I want it so that when I tick this column, this row, sorry, gets locked. So to do that, I can come in and say, I want the approve column. And I want it to be is checkbox. And then I want this to be locked. And now I can save this as a view. If I now, given that this has now been approved, I can't edit this anymore. If I do the same thing here, I can no longer edit it in here either. So this has been one of the most, for me, it's been a fascinating one. Because it's one of those features that for a very long time, we were like, you shouldn't have row level locking. You can have a view where things are locked and you can have another view where things aren't. But over the years, we've just consistently heard this as a point of feedback from many of you. And in our experience and some of the implementations that we're leading on, we saw why it was also needed. So the combination of these two things is really what got us to add it. But I see it as like there are examples where sometimes you'll ask for things and we don't necessarily go ahead right away. And it's partially because we have a view that our features should be used in a specific way, and adding in more options can just make things harder. And this was one of the ones that we resisted for a very long time. But we've seen over time that there's a need for it that just can't be replicated with the existing features. So that's in relation to locking rows. Now, the next one that I wanted to touch on was if I just add in 10 rows here, and I say this is, sorry, I should say this first. If I add in test 1 and then I add in test 2, and this now, just like I would have in Excel, it propagates the values effectively across my cells, and it just auto-completes this. Those, I think, were the core ones. The last two that I wanted to touch on are, first, we've added in more Dalux endpoints. So you can see this is where we are when it comes to Dalux. I know some of the ones we've added in have been related to inspection plans and work packages. But you can see here, Dalux now has quite a rich set of endpoints that we can pull data from. And it would be, and a lot of this comes from this move from our end to support you in tracking work across the delivery lifecycle. So a lot of the starting points and the endpoints, so if we look at something like a Procore, or if we look at a viewpoint, there's a lot in documents because they're CDEs. Dalux is one of the field systems that's being used most heavily by our customer base. And that's one of the reasons why these have all been added. I suspect we'll be adding some very similar ones for Procore. And Field View is an integration that is planned to be added within the core integrations as well. But this shows you more and more that we're able to get into field-related data that would be relevant and that you can then track against. The last one is slicers. So just in order to show you that, I'm just going to go into a ready-made one. Basically, you could always, generally speaking, we've added in obviously dashboards within Morta. We also have sometimes tables that are associated with these. The problem is before you'd need to go into every single one of these tables and then set a filter. So for example, if I wanted to set a filter on the discipline, I need to go to every view that has discipline, and I then need to set a filter. What we've done is we've now added this concept of slicers that I can use that would filter everything that's within the relevant section. So in this case, it would be all of these things that appear in charts. I can filter it on the concatenation. You can see this has changed the values. If I filter on second floor, this is showing me a different set of values. I can filter on multiple things if I want, and now I can see the values that are relevant to that. So you can now start doing these filters across a group of tables and across a group of views in a similar way to what you would have in something like Power BI, which are the slicers. We're already receiving some feedback on this, and we're planning improvements off the back of that. But I'd highly recommend you try out this feature as well. And I think those were the core things that I wanted to go over today in terms of product updates. I know quite a few of you have joined us while I've been speaking, but just to recap before I pause and see if you have any questions, we added in the comment and mentions feature. I just showed you the filter views and slicers when it comes to dashboards. We now support both row and column level locking. We have a JSON column type with expanded integrations. So we have new Dalux endpoints. We're able to fetch ACC model data. But as I mentioned, ACC model data is something we've not baked into the platform. If you want it If you'd like access to it, please do reach out to one of your digital transformation leads and we'll arrange for you to be able to test this. We made improvements when it comes to the interface of Morta AI. We are continuously making these updates to make tables more user-friendly and decrease the friction of people who are new to the tables being able to use those. We're doing work on reliability and security, and we've been recommended for ISO 27001 recertification. So I hope you found that useful. And now I'll open up the floor to see if any of you have any questions. Eduardo?
Just a quick one for me. I'm not sure is a common request, but I like the idea of adding comments and refer to someone on a comment. But there are specific asks from the rest of the people using of have comments on specific cells like you normally have on Excel, or is something that the way you look this working is actually a comment for the whole row?
So currently we're doing it as the whole row rather than the specific cell. But again, it's one of those things where as we get more feedback on it, if people are pushing for cell comments, we'll have a look. But generally speaking, it's really structured around rows right now. So I can right click on the row. When I right click on the row, I add in my comment and it's then associated with that specific record effectively.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Andrew?
Just with the comments, is there any plan to implement kind of like deadlines and email notifications and some daily, weekly summaries, that kind of thing?
I feel like you've added in several features in
Yeah.
one question. Very, very impressive. Deadlines, I would say deadline, when you say a deadline, I'm just curious here, what do you mean?
Like time to respond, you know, an overdue response, that kind of thing, if we're collating responses, yeah.
To comments?
Yes.
Would be interesting to see whether that's needed. The way when I think of deadlines, which is why I was asking, I just see it as a column, which is date required by something, and then off the back of that then shows you could have a view which then has things that are approaching the deadline or past the deadline, for example. Then to build on that, email notifications. Yeah, we've already added in email notifications for if someone is tagged in a comment that you can use. So they would get an email telling them that this comment has been issued and they've been tagged in that. Having said that, though, over time, we think there will be some kind of automated email notification feature. So the thinking is I would be able to turn a document into an email that goes out on a daily basis, which would then have the actions, for example, that someone has been assigned to within that view. And if you think about it, if you sync comments on the one side and then add in dates required by, for instance, you would have achieved a lot of what you were just describing.
I was just thinking, sorry, I was just thinking you've already got the implementation to kind of accept comment or resolve comments. If you could put a deadline against the resolution of those, then you could start sending out reminders to say you've got 4 overdue resolutions of comments that need to be actioned, kind of thing. So if you're tagging someone in a comment, it could be a way of just tracking. I'm just thinking about like BEP comments, you know, tagging someone in it saying, please review this, and then have them have a deadline and then be able to remind them of that deadline or tell them that that deadline's passed. Would be useful. I appreciate that's just doing more work on Morta than what we should be doing as BIM managers generally, but yeah, it would be useful.
No, yeah, we'll happy to take the feedback on board, and then we'll see how people as always, as people come back to us with feedback, we'll then see how best to implement it.
Sure. Thanks.
No worries. Any other questions? Asya?
Hi, yeah. I just thinking about the comments again. I know it's a hot topic now. See, whenever you add someone to the comments, is that possible that we're gonna see that in a table, like in a column? So each row there's gonna be someone assigned to it. So you're gonna see the email beside it or just the comment you added in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think let's just do something quickly. Look how funny. I picked the one hub by accident that has had a comment and a sync in it. But generally speaking, within the platform, we have import, Morta, and then we have comments, right? So what I haven't actually tested this, but I suspect we haven't added into the syncs metadata for who's been assigned. So if I just go in, and this is at Mo Shana'a. And now I mean, if it's a new schema, I should probably do it again. So I'm just gonna do it again. Let's do Morta comments. I suspect it will just show it as text, but it won't show that it's been assigned to me anywhere. So here, I have at Mo Shana'a as text. I think this should be a relatively easy one for us to
That would be good.
add a column, as in like the action is for who. That to me is to go back to the point also that Andrew you were just making. To me, there is a question over whether the deadline should be there or whether it should just be a column. I could technically add a column here, and I could just go due date, for instance.
Yeah, that's the plan I had, was effectively to generate this column with your sync and then just create a webhook to send out an email with a summary of that every day, basically.
And our notifications will hook into these types of things anyways, like when as we build that out. But that's why I have a question mark over whether it should be baked within the comments feature itself or whether we should be doing it this type of way. But we will take as we get more feedback on board, like we'll see where it goes. Cassie, I hope that answers your question. So it shows the text. For now, technically, you would even probably be able to do some kind of formula to like derive who it is, but we'll take a look at adding that into seeing whether we can add that into the common space schema.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
No worries. Yes, Andrew.
This might be me just completely missing something and a stupid question, but is there anything at the minute that would tell, say, a hub owner or like a specific role if someone has commented somewhere in the hub? I think there's been a few times on projects where people have commented on a whole bunch of our stuff, but we've not set up a webhook or anything to notify us when someone comments on something. So it could go for weeks without me realizing that someone has commented on something. Is there something built in that does that? Or is there a webhook endpoint to say comments applied somewhere?
I'm sure there is a webhook. Like I'm sure there's a Jad Ali, if you know, if there's
I think from a user endpoint, obviously I don't want to have to create a webhook thing for everything. If there was a way of just saying, anytime anyone comments in this hub, send me a notification as the hub owner that someone has commented somewhere, so I can jump to it. That would be very useful.
Yeah, we'll take that one on board. So just like people receive, if they've been tagged, they receive a notification. Ideally, the hub owner receives a notification anytime that there's a comment within the hub.
Or if you can specify certain people within the settings of the hub potentially as a master comment receiver or what have you, that would be useful, because it wouldn't be just the hub owner, it might be the project manager as well. You might want to specify it via their roles or their tags and their users, make it a bit more flexible, but yeah. That'd be great.
We'll have a think, but this is where, see, the moment you start saying that, you just made it a lot more complicated. But that's also
you can
why
start off with hub owners, and then
but I think there is there is a neater way to just handle all of it off the back of like a general notifications feature we're thinking of. And I think
Yes.
to be honest, just generally speaking, if I have to say something that I think we're doing quite terribly is notifications. Like I think people are getting all kinds of emails about all kinds of different things. Scripts is an example. When someone is assigned stuff, it's an example. When duplicates happen, I think there will be increasing pressure on us to put more thought in terms of how to reconcile all kinds of all kinds of emails that are generated out of the system. And then something like that could fall within this.
I think if you could just literally have a table of all the hooks, right, and then just have a tick box next to them to say whether you want to receive notifications about these monthly, daily, instantly, and then a user can specify someone's created a new table, someone's added a row, whatever they want really based on what's already available as an event, and then just have that as a matrix in the settings for the user potentially.
Yeah, we'll have a think.
Andrew, already have something like that on your account security, right? So there you can pick which email notifications you want to receive.
Yes, but if we could expand that out to more actions like add comment and row deleted or what have you, that would be useful. And maybe make it per hub rather than per account. I don't know. But I would echo your thoughts, Mo. I think there is a wee bit more work to be done in notifications, which would be very welcome from my point of view.
Yeah. Awesome. So notifications has been a really popular topic. You all don't care about any of the other features by the looks of it.
Just sick of emailing everyone. I want Morta to do it all.
Awesome. Any other questions or thoughts?
I already have some use cases potentially with JSON that I might share in a couple of weeks. We've had to store a massive dictionary of lookups for certain validation processes, and that's just stored in a JSON on GitHub. So it would be useful. It's very useful to have it formatted there rather than just text. It's formatted properly and it checks it. So that's very well received from my end. Thank you.
Awesome. No worries. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing actually how you end up using that. I'm quite curious to see how JSON goes. Okay, amazing. If there is nothing else, I think we'll leave it here for today. Eduardo?
I think Philip raised a good question there, and I would like to ask.
There's something in the chat I had missed. Okay.
No, that's fine. It's just the model data from ACC is actually something we quite interested on. I believe other people are, because it's quite powerful. So we need to request. How is the rule to request?
Just ask your digital transformation. So in your case, just ask Ali, please, and he'll set something up for you.
Thank you.
Nathaniel?
Hi, everybody. I think I've raised this in the past, but just checking if there's any updates on it. It's about cards. At the moment, we've got systems in the card where, one column you can have whether or not it's passed or failed, and then you can break that up just by that one column. But say I'm trying to reference two columns, for instance, I've got two separate information. How do I then get the average, or average would be a good example now, average of both columns, if that makes sense in the card? Because the card at the moment only deals on a column by column basis. I don't know if that could make sense here. So if I want to split it across two columns, then so what happens? And this is just, the use case would just be Excel, for instance. I've got 50 on cell A1, and 50 on cell A2. If on D1, I want to do an average of the both of them, for instance, I can easily get that number. So get loads of compliance scores that we've got for different things, but like we're not able to get like a single number to say, right, here's the compliance score.
It's best if we look at the general setup of the use case, because it may be that, like for example, what you're describing could be achieved if we roll up into the parent table, so to speak. But let's take a look at the specifics of the use case, because it may be that there are already ways to achieve that, and then we can take it from there.
All right.
But I can't fully answer without like actually seeing the setup and then commenting. But yes, it's never gonna be in a Morta like Excel where I can enter a free-form formula in one cell that has nothing to do with like that column. But having said that, you could either add another column which averages out the columns, or I think this is the problem in this case. What you really want is an average of the values in the rows for that specific column. And in order to do that, obviously we have the group by functions, but what you're saying is I can't actually use that data that's at the bottom of the table. So there is a way with which you possibly like roll it up into a parent table that has the summary values. And then that would give you what you need, but we'll look into that with you.
Right, if that can work, I'm really looking forward to it, because I really need that. Thank you.
Awesome. I am actually meaning to reach out and get in touch for a catch up, so this gives me an excuse.
Cool.
Awesome. And I think I'm just gonna very quickly go through. I feel like chat has already been answered. How many slides? I mean, Dean, you should have, I think Rob sent something on Slack that had like 20 slicers. So apparently you can use many. But that takes up too much space. So we've received feedback on that. But you can use many. Eduardo, is it possible the name of a file when it's imported perhaps as an event within a log? My understanding is that the import action itself isn't currently captured. Okay, interesting. We will double check that.
I've reported this to our team.
Okay, awesome, thanks. And then model data is mainly ACC and formal, so it should work for those. And if you'd like, as I mentioned to everyone, if you'd like to test ACC model data, just reach out to your relevant digital transformation lead, and then we'll look at testing that with you.
Is ACC model data, is that API called Autodesk now a paid token service though? Yeah.
No, it's I don't think it's paid, no.
Okay.
I don't think it's paid, but yeah, we'll double check.
It should be available in form, and I believe you need to activate, but
because I knew the document syncing and stuff was all free, but if you wanted to get access to the data models, you'd have to pay for it with tokens per call kind of thing, unless they've changed it in the last year. That was my understanding.
That's the thing. There have been a few changes along the way, and to be honest, I am a bit confused about where they're going in that sense. But in any case, for the time being, it's something that is like there for testing, and ultimately, if there is a cost, it will be probably whoever is hosting ACC is the one who will end up paying. I assume.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, amazing. Will more to get to the point where it has slicing by selecting segments of charts. I'm not fully sure I understand that. Will more to can you explain a bit more, Dean?
Yeah, so for example, if I did a Power BI dashboard, I don't necessarily need a slicer. I can just click on any of the graphs and it'll automatically filter by the section of the graph I click on. So for example, if I've got a pie chart showing disciplines and I click on architecture, it'll filter all my other charts by architecture as well.
Yeah, it's not currently on the roadmap, but yes, like I can see a world where you click it not only, dev team is going to hate me for this. Not only filters the dashboards themselves, but it would also filter the tables and the views that are associated with it. So I don't think it's impossible, but it's definitely not something we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Any feedback, generally speaking, on dashboards, I would say is welcome. We're not aiming to literally be a Power BI, just to be clear, but we are investing more and more, as you can see, in dashboarding, because we've seen there are limitations when it comes to Power BI, and it's easier to give people a single environment where they can control all of these things, especially on a project level. And then, yeah, I think, Cassia, you dropped the undo message on the Slack. We'll have a think about how that can be implemented.
Brilliant. That would be very useful, very simple, but so useful.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Perfect. With that, thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As always, I'll drop you I'll drop the recap from the session at the end, basically by Monday, and we'll be booking in a session for the end of July that will go back hopefully to Thursdays. And also we're going to start planning our yearly community day, which is likely to be on the 4th of November. So I'll be letting you all know next time, but 4th of November is likely to be I'm just double checking. Yeah, it will be 4th or the 5th of November, Wednesday or Thursday. For people on the call, just out of curiosity, what's the better day for something like this, Wednesday or Thursdays from your end? Thursday. Awesome. We have 2 Thursdays, 3 Thursdays. Yeah, I have a feeling Thursday is generally the best day for a lot of these things. Okay, so far it's definitely a Thursday. Okay, amazing. Thanks everyone for joining. And look forward to our next catch up. If you have anything, please do reach out. If you want to test out model data, just reach out to your digital transformation lead, and we'll take it from there. But thank you all for joining us today, and hope you have a really good weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Mo.
Thanks, bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.